Good afternoon and welcome into yet another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. We are coming to you from Quaker Steak and Lube on a picture-perfect afternoon here in the Valley of Happiness. Dear Goon, we appreciate your bringing the weather from the Sunshine State back with you. Job well done, big guy.
I bought it with me yesterday afternoon. It was a fantastic job myself. Wow, beautiful weather down there. Beautiful weather today. This is the best time I always think about living in State College. That like springtime, winter just broke, and this is the best time of year, I think, in State College.
Are you not familiar with September in Happy Valley? I mean, God bless you, and I do love this time of the year, but I mean, come on.
No.
September in Happy Valley, you're telling me this or any other period is better than September in Happy Valley?
We're busy in September and October in the weekends. We're not busy now. We can enjoy it. You know?
I suppose.
So I had to go. I was with all my
true.
Penn State people this weekend, my tailgate crew, this and that. You know, we're down in Florida doing a charity golf tournament, so we're talking. And the one guy didn't know the schedule, and I said, "Yeah, we got a away game and then 4 home games." And I saw the man's liver exploding in his belly. That's tough. That's a tough paper route. 4 in a row, man.
Yep.
But.
Got to get yourself ready, kids.
Well,
that's what the summer is for. Get yourself ready for September in Happy Valley.
I left here. It was snowing the other day, and I come back today, and it's beautiful like this. So,
yep,
I did something right, Ironhead.
Yep, we are very, very appreciative.
Did I hear mid to upper 70s this coming weekend?
Yeah, we're breaking out. Tomorrow, today and tomorrow are upper 70s. Tomorrow we are. Planning to break out the water slide at the the home residence, which has the dear Mad Turtle very excited at our place. So,
can I give you a great water slide story?
Absolutely.
So it was probably Paxton was still.
At least I'm hoping you can. I'm counting on you being able
Paxton
to.
and AQ were still playing with the Steelers. So however many years that is ago, I mean that was probably 11 or 12 years ago. But the Saturday, we were going to go out to watch a practice one day. And my buddy decides to bring out the water slide the day before. We're having a few beers, and he's going down the water slide down the hill and this and that. And then he rips an ab, like something going down in his ab. I'm telling you, he was in crippling pain. And then I go down this thing, and I hit a rock, and I rip my stomach up. And we're driving out to see the Steelers practice the next day, and we're both like this.
Old war injuries.
Yes, exactly right. It was absolutely horrendous.
We put ourselves through a tremendous workout yesterday. You'll have to pardon us, guys.
That was my worst. That was my last day of going down water slides. I'm asked all the time, you know.
Oh, yeah. Understood.
Oh, man.
A couple of things that want to get into. Obviously, the draft coming up on Thursday. We'll talk more about that on Thursday. It is amazing to me. It's still, and more power to. I mean, it's wonderful, and it is absolutely key for the future of the programs. It's just much like recruiting. I've never been able to get, and I'll follow the draft. I mean, I'm not sitting here telling you I abstain completely, but I don't go through the mountains of data that are out there and try to analyze every player and try to project where every player will go. And it's much like recruiting for me. And again, I understand, and this isn't a criticism at all of the fans. It's a credit to the fans' understanding and knowledge of the game. I mean, the recruiting and the draft are absolutely vital components of the programs and the organizations that we're talking about and those that you follow. But I've just never been able to get passionate about either of them. And again, as soon as the Steelers announce who it is, man, I will be reading all kinds of information and building up in my mind how good this individual could be. Just as same thing with Penn State and recruiting, and that's in any sport. It's like, hey, oh man, they got this guy. Well, he's got to be good, and then you start reading and. But that's until they become part of the team that I'm following. I just. Again, I'm aware of the big names and the individuals, and obviously the quarterback class this year
I have a good answer
and all of
for
the
you.
attention it's getting. But and again, I'll be watching. I mean, again, it's not that I'm anti any of this. I guess even as a young person, I just didn't have. I didn't feel like I had the time to devote to following that stuff as closely as many do, and even less so now. I just. Again, I'll read the occasional article on stuff and see, what blue chip guys are considering Penn State. See what the analysts are saying the Steelers are looking at. Which, by the way, this year, if any of you can tell me with any definitiveness what direction the Steelers are headed, and listen, most seasons, right? It's a guessing game with the Steelers anyway. How often have the Steelers picked who everybody was saying they would likely pick in the mock draft? I think it's right around 0 to 1 times in my lifetime. They just, but this year there's not there are several needs, but there's not like a glaring, my God, they've got to address this and look at the likely pick that's going to fall there. So I'm really curious to see how this goes, but I mean, they need offensive line help. They could certainly use another outside linebacker stud. Cornerback seems to always be an issue that can be addressed with the Steelers, and certainly I think it's a need again this season. And obviously, I mean, I do think if you feel like the future franchise quarterback is there, I mean, you have to be looking for Ben's replacement. I don't know that it's necessarily imperative that you get him this draft, but I think, again, if you have somebody that you feel can be that guy with your pick, man, you better jump on that because that window is closing quickly here, and you need to get somebody in line that you believe is going to be the successor there sometime in the next couple of years.
Let's just say you're very lucky to be able to trust the people drafting for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because as an Eagles fan, I mean, 2 different times in recent memory, I remember that ESPN and the NFL Network did not even have video on the guy because they did not expect him to go to the 3rd or 4th round. It was John Harris.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years ago, the guy from Louisville, Marcus Smith.
Yeah, yeah.
It was unbelievable. I mean, I've never seen Mel Kiper speechless, but he was speechless, and I could not believe what I was seeing. I have always personally loved watching the draft. Started with when I was watching when my brother was going back in the day in '87, and it was really it was not the.
Well,
thing
yeah, it's a little different if you have an immediate family
that's
member
how I got
who's
interested in it.
going
But
to
I
be
would
drafted.
always watch it, even when we were in college, because you always want to watch and see where guys are going and all that stuff. So
yeah, no,
I've always had a little thing for it. I love the way they do it now. I really, really, really do like how they do it now. I
do too.
Spread it out. I mean, remember it was it 25 minutes, half hour for each pick back in the day, and then it was just like, holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
So now you're 15 minutes. You get through the first round in 3 hours. It's made for television. It's out of an arena. It's out of a stadium, so it's perfect. And you also like seeing that there's literally 32 guys there whose their lives and their families' lives has changed right then and there with that draft pick. And it's great to see all these guys' hard work get paid off. That's, and then having the fans, I don't know, they're not having fans or anything, right? It's not going to be, you're not going to have the Jets fans booing people and the Eagles fans cheering everybody, of course. Eagles fans, all they do.
Well, they're just happy by nature.
Yes, very, very, very happy.
Content.
So, it's always been one of my things is watching. I like to see where the Penn State guy goes. And, as a player, you like to see guys who you've played against where they go. And I've always enjoyed it. Yeah,
the quarterback class is an interesting one. And it's always fun to go back, a decade or even more fun a couple of decades later. We've talked. I mean, I was actually sports director at WRSC at the time, and I was advocating Leaf over Manning. So, again, right in line with the rest of my predictions in general. But listen, I mean, I'm just a schmuck watching these games from afar. The number of people that are paid big time money to accurately make these picks and accurately project how these guys are going to make it in the league, and the number of times they get it wrong. And we've talked about at the college level, I think offensive lineman is just the toughest position to evaluate or to try to project how a player who is successful at the high school level is going to translate to college. And I think to some extent that remains true going from college to the pros. But quarterback is just, there are just so many factors, and there are many of those factors are out of the quarterback and the to some degree the coach's control as well, right? I mean, I don't know, if Terry Bradshaw had gone to, pick a team, the Chicago Bears, what does his career look like? And again, you'll never know, and that's part of the beauty of this is you got to see how everything comes together. But I do think there is sometimes some advantage to being the quarterback. I mean, Tom Brady obviously is the exception, going all the way down to the 6th round and becoming almost inarguably the greatest quarterback ever, certainly one of them inarguably. But if you are going late 1st round, right, you're going to a good team, a good organization. If you're not necessarily going to a bad organization, but you're going on to a team that is coming off of at least a bad season at the very least. And often you are going to a bad organization. And it is a tougher climb no matter how talented you are, right? If you are surrounded by inferior talent to that of your competition, or a coaching staff that doesn't know how to utilize your talent or your teammates. I mean, there's just, again, so many factors, and quarterback is such a key element. But you look to every year people are trying to project, all right, that's the can't miss, and there's never a can't miss, because another thing that enters is injuries, right? Andrew Luck was as surefire a future Hall of Famer. I mean, you talk to anybody that knew anything about football, and they were telling you Andrew Luck, there is nothing that could go wrong except that the one thing that did, right? I mean, injuries are a factor here, and especially at that position. Yeah, and so, I have no idea, and I'm not even going to try to make any projections. I will say that if Justin Fields is available when the Steelers pick, and that is who the Steelers decide to go with, I, for one, will be happy with it at the time. I think they're 24. I should know that, but I'll look it up.
Jeez. So here's a few things you learn in like the last 15 years of the NFL draft. You don't draft running backs or linebackers in the 1st round. I mean, people who do, you pay for that in the long run. Case in point, our boy, Saquon Barkley, going 2 overall to the Giants. You can't invest that much money into one position. You can and have to do that with quarterback. So the linebacker, they're not a dime a dozen. The great ones are a dime a dozen, but they're not the great ones are not a dime a dozen, but you can get them 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. That's where you get your running backs and your linebackers. The thing with IHAB, and you see it, it's really prevalent this year. And that is what Chris and I had talked to you about it in the past, and that is always the Russell Wilson syndrome. You got a rookie contract quarterback. You got a 5-year window to get it done. I mean, look at Carson Wentz's class and Jared Goff's class. There's one of those quarterbacks drafted from that year who's with the same team right now. And it's crazy to think about.
Yeah,
that everybody is trying to get a rookie quarterback, rookie contract quarterback. I'm sorry, but Mac Jones to me is not a top 3 or 4 pick. That's just my opinion. But he's a quarterback in the NFL, and they often reach for those quarterbacks. And I hope I'm wrong. I mean, Mac Jones, it's more power to him if he goes and has a great career. But 1 or 2 years, 1 year at Alabama, and was the star. And
yeah.
That's a hell of a team he's throwing a ball around to.
Yeah.
With the best offensive line in the country, the best running back in the country, and the 2 best receivers in the country. I don't know. Maybe I see it as overrated, but people overstep constantly for quarterbacks, and that is because you don't want to waste that much money on them. I mean, when I say Russell Wilson syndrome, that is when he was on his rookie contract, they win a Super Bowl, they lose the second one, they're paying him, maybe $1 million a year, you can afford to wrap around the other $25 million to other people. You could keep your Russell or your Shermans and your Bennett's at D tackle and your linebackers and have stud left tackle. But when Russell Wilson signs his big contract with $30 million a year, you can't keep up with that. You can't have those other star players there. So that's what I think the NFL constantly reaches on with the quarterbacks, constantly. And you're right. You cannot predict who's going to be great, who's going to be bad. I always ask this. Would Ryan Leaf have been better with the Colts and then Peyton Manning with the Chargers? Would it have been different? I don't think the answer is yes.
I don't think so either.
I don't.
But again, you'll never know, right? I mean, that's one of the fun things to do in sports is play the what if game. But
Leaf
the reality is you'll never know.
That type of thing going on. You really don't have that in Indianapolis that much. I think he may have been caught. I mean, they both went into horrible teams. And
no question about that.
Beat his first year, and so did Ryan Leaf. I mean, lost every ounce of confidence he had in him. And that's a guy who played with just confidence because he had a lot of ability, but he needed that confidence. And it's tough to watch, tough to do. And then the other thing is in the offensive line, I mean, you're going to see you always need to beef up front. I mean, that's the thing nowadays. And you overpay for offensive linemen and defensive linemen. It's great for us. I mean, as an offensive lineman, I'm happy to finally see it. Corners, receivers. I mean, we're even looking at how many receivers are out there in this draft.
Yeah.
And then the Eagles are drafting 6, Chris Booch? I said they're down to 12. So they might get one of those star receivers there because people aren't spending a lot of money on these star receivers. They want their quarterbacks, they want their offensive linemen, and their defensive corners.
Yep.
D linemen and corners, sorry.
Yeah. Well, and understandably so, because again the quarterbacks are key for success in the NFL, thus disrupting and taking away the talent or limiting the talent of an opposing great quarterback is number 2 on that list.
I know our resident draft guru is coming on here for the second half hour, and we're yapping about the draft here, but I have an issue, and Chris can talk about it when he goes on, Chris being Booch. I don't like how the quarterbacks can go to their pro day and they decide the routes they're running. So they have literally practiced that route tree, that exact combination of those 60 throws.
Yeah.
They've practiced it 50 times. You know what I mean? And then there's nothing that they're not being asked to do anything out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's weird the NFL is not like, hey, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to do it like this. That's what I feel a bit. As an offensive lineman, what do? You go out there and the old line coach tells you to do this, you go out and do it,
Yeah.
Now you have a quarterback guru who's going out there and say, oh, this is the tree we're going to run. This is the routes we're going to run. And, you see a guy practice it. He's going to practice it for 30 straight days. And, he's going to perform on his pro day because he knows what he's doing. It should be like second nature at that point.
Yeah, I agreed. The other thing with this year is you don't have as even with Mac Jones, not only did you only have one season, I mean, it wasn't a full season against the normal spectrum of competition that you'd be getting. And I think it is even more difficult to evaluate this year. To your point, though, on the or I guess both of our points on the trying to project the quarterback and how well they'll translate it at the next level. Again, when we talk about all of the factors that are involved, you can be very successful, very accurate at the collegiate level. And it's just, the jump each time at each level, no matter what position, that in terms of strength, the complexity of the plays involved. Right. I mean, it is a significant jump from high school to college and then a significant jump again from college to the pros. And the quarterback, again, you could have everything pretty well mastered at the college level and be a terrific college quarterback. And again, it may just not translate to the pro ranks, again, for a wide variety of reasons. But when you look over the history, it's not there's nothing there that's consistent either, right? It's not that, well, he went to a big-time program, so that therefore it will translate to the pros. Nope. I mean, there is a long list of guys who have won national titles and have been terrific, outstanding college quarterbacks that just fell on their faces, again, for whatever reason, at the pro level, did not come anywhere near. And we've seen all kinds of quarterbacks from, Phil Simms to Terry Bradshaw, who come from smaller programs, unheralded programs in many cases, who have gone on and had tremendous success at the NFL level. And again, there are plenty of examples of guys who've had success, Joe Montana at the highest levels in both. And examples of guys that, but even now with the skill set, right, there are so-called running quarterbacks that have translated well to the NFL. Now you can't just be a quote-unquote running quarterback, but
the threat needs to be there.
Yeah, there are guys who have made that transition wonderfully and guys who, not so much.
I think that the coaches have caught up to that a little bit.
Yeah, I do think that's part of it for sure.
The high school coach, the way it was when you and I grew up, your fastest kid was your running back. Now they're putting that kid at quarterback, and they put the ball in his hands at every play and say, make plays happen. You go to college, and then, it's translated its way into the NFL now. Bill Belichick likes a running quarterback now. He's coming off of Tom Brady, goes to Cam Newton, and there's talk of Justin Fields going there. They absolutely love him.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the Patriots do.
Dude, so am I.
And
do you think Belichick's got a little chip on his shoulder right now?
No, I don't think it bothers him at all that Brady went out and won the Super Bowl while they
NFL record $196 million guaranteed money. NFL record. They spent that much on guaranteed money this offseason.
Yeah.
You cannot convince me that Bill Belichick is like, all right, I'm not going to sit here and let Tom Brady disparage me. I mean, Tom Brady would never say a bad word about Bill Belichick, but he goes and leaves and goes to a different program and wins the Super Bowl the first year.
No, there's a
lot to be said there.
Yeah, whether they'll ever admit it, egos are involved here, right? You're not competing at the highest level of anything without your ego being involved. Now, the best of the best can keep it in check and remain humble and all of that. But yeah, there's some ego involved here in trying to show that it wasn't just the quarterback; it was the coach quarterback combination. So the Patriots are going to be an interesting follow for sure. A couple things, quick, did want to touch on. The beloved Pirates are actually at 500. Granted, we're 22 games into the season. I still suspect when it's all said and done, the Pirates will be where everybody was projecting them at the start of the season. But it has been a fun start to the season, and they do have some exciting young players that early on are playing well and are playing with a lot of heart and passion. Again, we'll see if that heart and passion when you're 20 games out in the standings is there in August and September, and I think that'll be telling in terms of what the future is going to look like here over the next couple of seasons with the Pirates, is how this team continues to play. Again, regardless of success on the field, do you continue to play hard, run plays out, all of the little things that we talk about all the time that the Pirates just have struggled with really since the late 70s, maybe early 80s. It just has been a source of frustration for those of us that are Pirates fans. But it's been a fun start, and I still think the Phillies are going to be all right, but obviously not the start that the Phillies were hoping for to this point. I still like that Phillies team, and I still think they're at least going to be in the hunt for a playoff spot here when it's all said and done.
In regards to your Pirates, I mean, the Padres, the Dodgers, and the Yankees are very much looking forward to watching your team play. And they love the youth that they're showing for their future
yes,
players.
Indeed. I'm telling you, Musgrove pitching the first no-hitter in Padres history, just another dagger to the many daggers to the heart of Pirates fans. It really is amazing. when you sit there and watch the successful organization, it's like, oh yeah, that guy used to be. Oh yeah, that guy used to be. Oh yeah, they've got 4 or 5. Imagine how that could have worked out.
That. Yeah, but I'm watching the Phillies like the last couple of nights, and they're so. God, they make you so mad how much they strike out, but then when they do hit, and then they play a game last night. I mean, they got a pitcher, Wheeler, takes a perfect game almost into the 6th inning, and they're playing against Wainwright, who's an absolute stud. One hitter, he has a one hitter. Wainwright's got a 2-3 hitter, and it was a really good game to watch. I mean, I sometimes enjoy a good pitching duel, which we saw last night, but I've said for a while now that Rhys Hoskins is the key to the Phillies. Because then if he's hitting, Real Muto and Harper are going to do what they do.
Yep.
But if Hoskins is hitting and even Baum, if they get it done, it's going to be a different season. And I can't believe they did it, but I guess I can believe it. But bringing up a double Herrera, I can't believe the man's still back in Major League Baseball. But everybody does deserve a second chance, so I will say that. He did pay his time. He did, took a year, got kicked out for a year and a half, and now he's back.
Yep.
But they have just got nothing out of the center field position this year. I mean, nothing. And McCutchen has been pretty bad. Not bad, but un-McCutchen-like. I remember somebody complaining the other day, oh, McCutchen's old, and they said he's 34. I was like, first of all, I can't believe Aaron McCutchen's 34 years old. I thought he was like closer to 40. It seems like he's been around baseball for a long time, but 10 plus years is a long time in baseball.
Yeah, and it doesn't take. I mean, it's when speed is as much a part of your game as it is and has been for McCutchen, right? I mean, you lose that half step, and that's usually about when you're losing it. Is when you're again, when I say losing it, I don't mean losing your game. I mean losing that half step. You're just a little bit slower, a little bit not quite as quick. And again, it can impact everything. As you talked about earlier, confidence is just such. I think for those that have not participated, and I've not participated, but I've talked to enough people that have. And you talk to coaches, confidence is such a huge part of the equation. Now, confidence alone, obviously, if you don't have the talent, isn't going to get it done. But, man, truly believing that you are going to go out and succeed, not just hoping, not just thinking that you could, truly believing that, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to hit the ball out of the park. I'm going to make this shot. I'm going to break this for a touchdown. And truly believing it every time you're touching the ball or putting the shot up or whatever your skill set may be, it's just a big part of the equation. And I also think sometimes we underestimate how fragile that confidence can be. It's like, well, no, this guy's had success at every level. Well, exactly. If you've known nothing but success since you were in the little leagues, and now all of a sudden you're not having that type of success, it can be jarring, right? And it can just flip on you quickly. It's like, oh my God, all the stuff I've done. Now, some people, again, will have the ability to, big picture it and, okay, I can figure this out. But it's not always just a work ethic thing. It's like, well, no, this guy, it didn't work out, but he had all that talent. Again, if the confidence gets rattled and you're not sure how to deal with that and regain it, man, it can be devastating.
So the charity celebrity golf tournament we played this past weekend down in Florida, there was a couple of former MLB baseball players there, and it was good talking to those guys because I specifically asked them straight up. I said, what is the hardest thing to do in sport? Because I said, here's my answer. I said, it has to be hitting a home run in the Major League Baseball game. I mean, not anybody can do that. And that in itself right there is probably the hardest thing to do in sports, I think. I mean, a guy can hit a 350-yard drive, but I see guys doing that now who aren't professional golfers type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hitting a Major League Baseball against a Major League pitcher has to be the hardest thing to do. And a lot of it is an arrow. Like, if you're confident you're seeing the ball well, you can do it. And I was just adding on what you just said.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's and you see it, right? I mean, guys that the best of the best go through slumps, and it's like, wait, what's going on? And then you start to question and re-examine, and then again, once you've been through it a couple of times, maybe you're able to handle it. But if man, if you've just not been through it, it can be a game changer in not a good way for guys as well. Ever since the loss to the Flyers, the beloved Penguins have again caught fire. I will tell you, of everything I have seen, and I'm enjoying everything I'm watching here with the Penguins. More games against the Devils, please. Everything I've enjoyed over the last since the loss of the Flyers, whatever that was, a week and a half ago. That 1-0 win over the Bruins. Man, does that I can't tell you how good, as a Penguins fan, that one felt. And it wasn't necessarily an enjoyable watch because it's agonizing. But, man, I'm telling you, the fact that they won a 1-0 game against a team that was playing really good hockey, found a way to get that goal. And I do love the way Getzel's playing. I mean, I love the way this team's playing right now. But, man, for a team that seems to rely as much as this one does on its offense to gut out a 1-0 victory against a good team that was playing well, that is a good feeling and does give me more confidence, a little more hope as we make the turn toward the Stanley Cup playoffs. And, the Penguins now are battling for the number one seed, are at the moment in control of their own destiny in that regard. Would not have believed that a couple of months ago, by the way.
Killing me. So you're saying more games against the Devils. I'm okay with that. Flyers play the next four games are against the Devils, so they better pick up 8 points, and they're 9 points out of playoff right now. So, and then
more games against the Devils. That's the prescription.
The Bruins the other day was actually a good thing for the Flyers.
Yeah,
the Flyers on Sunday night, I believe, were down 3-1 with 2 minutes to go and scored 2 goals to tie, and then one in the shootout.
Yep. So,
an absolute gift that you think that the team would build momentum on. But they've done that like 3 times this year and then gone up the next night and lose 8-1. They're literally the most frustrating team I think I have ever watched in the history of sport. But I will watch them every night. I will watch them still.
Yeah. Yeah, this Stanley Cup, I probably say this every year at this time, but I do feel like the Stanley Cup playoffs this season could be as exciting as any we've had. I don't think there's a lot separating. I know there's not a lot separating those top teams, and it just, it's going to be one of those things where, again, it's who gets hot, who has the hot goaltender, the same old stuff, who can avoid the injuries. I will say the other thing I love about the Penguins right now is I think we talked about this last week, but the number of guys that they have that have stepped up here. Obviously you want to be full throttle, everybody healthy, but there's certainly not going to be any panic in that Penguins locker room now if a guy or two goes down, for a period of time here during the playoffs, because, man, they're just getting a lot of kids coming up and buying into what they're doing right now. And it's, again, it's been a fun watch. And I really do I like the way this team has been coached and the patience. There were some frustrations early in the season. And I think that, Sullivan kept saying, listen, we just need to play within ourselves and we need to understand what our roles are. And once we figure that out, and you really could see that just happening, that maturation process occurring before your eyes as you were watching this team in January and February. Yeah. And I do think, now you're seeing a team that has a clear understanding. Now, listen, they could still go out because it's the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I truly do believe anything can happen. I don't think anything's assured with the way that they're playing, but there is, to go back to the confidence, there is such a confidence right now that this team has that they know what they're doing, they know what they're supposed to do, how this will work, and they're seeing it pay off. And I think they are at least giving themselves a legitimate chance here going into the playoffs to be a championship team. And again, I would not have believed that back in late January, early February.
Nonchalantly going out and picking up Jeff Carter, like, hey,
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah, and
great pickup.
Yeah,
guys won 2 cups. That's a great guy to have in your locker room right now.
And he brings some of that grit that I think that contributes to the 1-0 victory. And again, hopefully in the playoffs, the Penguins will have plenty of games where they're going out scoring 3, 4, or 5 plus goals, but you're not going to win the Stanley Cup without winning a couple of 1-0 or 2-1 type of games. It never happens. You've got to be able to figure out a way to win those types of games, and that's why Sunday's game to me was as positive a result as the Penguins have had, even through all of these wins here over the last couple of months and the different ways they've been able to win. That one for me was a tremendous confidence booster heading down the stretch. Take a break here. When we come back, Chris Buganani will join us. He was at the what are we officially calling that? Just the last
you were
last
in the
practice.
That's all that matters. You were in the stadium.
So we'll talk about that and some Penn State football when we return as we continue with the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show right after this.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube, but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
I'm here with Keith Goon Conlon, and you've got a little trip you're cooking up for August. Tell us about it.
So we got 4 or 5 ex-football players, Shane Conlon, myself, Troy Drayton, Justin Kirpakis, and Mike Maudie. We're going to go down to Barbados, leave from different airports, 5 days, 4 nights. We've got to get our skills ready to go for the football season, so what better way to do it than down in Barbados?
People come along on this trip, what are they going to be doing down there?
Very laid-back atmosphere. We're going to have golfing trips, fishing trips, and then at night, the days are very, very chill, and then at nighttime there'll be cocktail parties and, old viewings of old football games from Penn State. You might be watching the 87 Fiesta Bowl, the 95 Rose Bowl, a private viewing, a viewing for all the people who are on the trip of Saving Your Roar, which is the 2012 team documentary. So the biggest thing is it is 100% refundable. LionsLegendsTravels.com. Everything is on there. It's $19.95 a person. There's multiple airports, so check in.
Good stuff, Goon. Lions Legends Travel. Check it out.
He's not getting that car in there.
No, sir.
Hey, look at these 2 troublemakers.
Johnny, how are you?
Wicked car. Is that new?
Yeah, it's a Sonata. Let me park it.
Oh, you're not fitting your car in there.
Chris, stop being a smarty pants, all right? Look who's got Smart Park. Even Bruiser can park it. Just hit the clicker. I can park it anywhere.
Beaver Stadium?
Parked it.
Even the Jordan Center?
Parked it.
Even Medler Field?
Even Bruiser parked it.
Hey, you can't park there.
He's got Smart Park!
Wicked smart.
Blaze Alexander Hyundai. It's wicked smart.
Oh, and hey, there we are. We welcome you back to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We have traded away our first-round pick, sending Goon Conlon to another establishment to continue his afternoon. In return, we get Chris Buganani, an upgrade.
No doubt. No question. You don't want to put me on the offensive line necessarily.
No,
find a
not so
place to
much
plug
there.
me in and use my talents for sure.
So you actually had the opportunity to. I think you're the only one. Well, I know you're the only one of the three of us that has actually seen this Penn State football team in person. I think in the last year.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So I just did a podcast about this on the obligatory PSU podcast. Get it wherever you get your podcast.
Check it out.
Somebody pointed out to me that in reality, about 17 months since the last time I was in Beaver Stadium, longest stretch for me in 30 years. Probably, at least that long for you.
Yeah, longer.
So it was good to be back.
Margin.
As fake as it was, which is very.
Yeah.
It was nice to be back inside the stadium. As Mike the mailman, who got me the hookup to get the tickets to get in, pointed out, probably about a typical night in the Bryce Jordan Center, crowd-wise.
Yeah.
Like not even close to the 7,500 they reported for the freshman game.
Yeah.
But you know what? None of it mattered. It was night. It was Beaver Stadium. It was the blue and white uniforms. It was nice. It was nice to get a little taste.
No, and I think that's I've been talking with a few different friends about the opportunities that are coming, whether it's to go, watch a Pirates game in person, whether it's to watch a Penguins playoff game in person, whether it's just going to a State College Spikes game or being able to go into Beaver Stadium.
You have to tell me and Goon what the playoff game is like.
Yes, I think I will.
You can just describe it to us.
Yeah, it's. I feel your pain as a Pirates fan.
Sure.
I do feel the pain of a team that at least feels very unlikely, if not known, to be out of the playoff hunt this season for sure, and probably in the Pirates' case for many
decades
years to come.
Yep.
But I do think there's going to be a renewed appreciation for fans of whatever team you're a fan of, having that opportunity to get in and see your team in person again, regardless of what sport and what level of competition it is.
Given how excited I was to be in an empty Beaver Stadium in April while they blew my eardrums out with the sound system, watching the team run through drills, yes, I assure you, the first actual game back is going to be very few things you have seen in that place before.
Yeah, I really
look out, Ball State.
I think it is going. I think it's going to have a different feel, but a similar vibe to when you first went to a game after 9/11, for those that are old enough and remember what that was like. It was just in a different way, but it was an emotional, powerful, impactful moment when you walk back into a stadium.
You remember what it was like that night in when they opened the new stadium expansion in 2001? And Adam Talaferro was going to come out of the tunnel. Now, look, everybody in the building knew we were probably going to get our butts handed to us by Miami. But, nevertheless, there was a lot of energy in the building for sure. And, look, I brought up Ball State. I think one of the things that works in favor of that Ironhead, we'll talk about the practice, but Ball State's bringing back a really good team. And then the next week, your home game to follow is Auburn.
Yep.
So very well could be a primetime kickoff. Definitely going to be a lot of attention around that game.
Oh, yeah.
So this is not like Akron and Youngstown State to start the season off.
Correct. And listen, I think I like what I'm hearing from James Franklin in terms of what he likes about what he's seen with his team.
Sure.
Obviously, this was a very important spring for a bunch of different reasons, but it at least sounds like they got accomplished what they wanted to, maybe even a little more than what they were hoping to, if you can take James Franklin at his word. And listen, it's not often that a head coach is giving false praise at this time of the year, right? If anything, you're usually holding back your plaudits, but I think he has been genuinely pleased with what this team has brought in terms of energy, focus, and being able to buy in to the concepts and what they're trying to accomplish. And listen, I do think for all that was made of the 0-5 start last year, and then finishing up with the 4 wins, I do think there's a hunger within this team that just would not have been there if they had a good, a 7-2 type of season. I don't think that and I can't pinpoint it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, well, no, this workout wouldn't have been as good for this guy if that hadn't happened. But I think there is a real feeling within the program that they want to get Penn State quickly back to where they feel this program belongs, which is contending for a playoff spot and Big Ten and national titles. And I think the talent pool is there to be in the running for that at the very least. Again, I'm not convinced that across the board and with the depth of Penn State's there with the Clemsons and the Alabamas and the Ohio States just yet. But I think outside of those programs, Penn State talent-wise is right there with just about anybody else in the country.
Yeah, and look, I've talked about this before on TV and on the podcast. For me personally, I am off the playoff treadmill just because the way it is set up currently, it is like, you want to talk about like a market inequalities. Catching the programs that have a lead start on the rest of FBS on the inside track to those playoff spots is so difficult. I mean, all you need to do is whiff a couple of times in a given recruiting cycle, and you lose a little ground. You do that 3 or 4 cycles in a row, like Penn State and virtually every other school in the country other than Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, and Oklahoma have done. That gap just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So to me, the question is, are you recruiting well enough? Are you coaching well enough? Are you doing all the little things well enough to consistently get to 10 wins and then have a chance in those other 2 games where maybe if the breaks go your way, something special is going to happen? So I think that you might be right. If we had a mediocre season last year. Now, look, you go 9-0 or whatever, and you get a chance to play in the playoffs, whether the season's fake or not, and eventually get the crap kicked out of you by Alabama. Like, yes, that's something you can build on. But, whatever, you're 6-3. What are you're learning nothing from that, nor is anyone particularly uncomfortable after a record like that last season. So, it could be a blessing in disguise. I've thought that for a while.
Yeah, I really do think just, again, there's I think there just has to be a drive that
I hope
is there
so
now. And I think it is. I mean, I'm not expecting James Franklin to come out and say, man, we just had lousy practices, but he's been pretty effusive in his praise.
Here's what I think about coaches' press conferences.
The way this is going.
I think whenever they say explicitly bad things, they're lying, and it's good. I think whenever they hold back and say nothing, it's an indication that all they have to say are truthful bad things, and that's bad. And when they actually, on the rare occasions where they actually give genuine praise, you can take those at face value and say, hey, more good than bad. Like, to me, the best sign is always if the coach is aggressively slow walking any enthusiasm, because then behind the scenes they're actually feeling really good. So that's the best case scenario. But a lot of platitudes with a few moments of genuine praise thrown in, that's the next best thing. And that's what I feel like we got this offseason.
Yeah, I do think we're going back to the playoff discussion just real quickly. I don't know exactly when, but sometime in the next few years, the playoffs are going to be expanded. And I don't know if it's going to be to 6 or to 8 teams, but I mean, there is no longer any doubt about that. It's
as
not
soon as they
if,
came out this past week
when.
And said they were looking at it, that was their way of saying, hey, it's coming.
This is going to happen. And for a wide variety of reasons, I think it is smart, good, financially beneficial, all of those things. I don't see the downside, and I hope they go to at least 8 teams. I don't think they'll go to more than 8.
I hope not.
I would like to see it go to 12 would be the ideal number for me. I'm even okay with 16.
Yeah, not me. No,
but 8 at least gets you to the point where you're giving teams that aren't Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State an opportunity to get in there and mix it up each year. And again, if those teams come away on top, more power to them, and that may very well occur. But I think, by going to 8, you're getting enough legitimate contenders in each season to make this thing a worthwhile watch for even the most casual fan. Friday night, takeaways for you, anything that stood out, and again, it's a very small sample size of spring drills.
It's a spring practice,
I get it, but
right.
Aside from the loud thumping music, your takeaways from what you were able to glean on Friday night.
Well, having not been able to be in the stadium in person a week before, I relied a lot on what the media accounts were. We had Nebias Wilborn from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette on the show about a week ago. So we talked to him for about an hour about what he observed during the practice. So I feel like I had a pretty good sense of where they were at practice number 12 to compare to what I saw in practice number 15. And I will say the top 2 takeaways for me were that Sean Clifford looked more comfortable running the offense than he did, as people described him looking in practice number 12. And just overall, there was more balance between the offense and defense, where sometimes the offense would have the upper hand and sometimes the defense had the upper hand. And it wasn't just the front 4 consistently caving in the interior offensive line and Clifford or Roberson or Vayu or whoever running for their lives. I felt like, based on all the descriptions you got from that first open practice with the freshmen, if you were hoping that there's continued growth and increased comfort level with the Mike Yursich offense, there were definite signs on display Friday night that that's the case. So those were all good things. Definitely continue to see tempo being worked into the offense. The hurry up was commonplace in terms of the different paces they were going at. Clifford looked very comfortable running that, getting the plays off, getting everybody to the line of scrimmage. I thought that Kevon Lee, who played a lot as the first-team tailback, looked really good. All the praise he has drawn from James Franklin in the spring media availabilities looks to be spot on. On the opposite side of the ball, Nick Tarburton, the defensive end, who has been talked up a lot this spring and could really bring a lot to stabilizing the entire defensive line if he could play a lot of snaps. I thought he was the standout player on defense. And what I thought was interesting is that as they cycled other guys in with the starting defensive line at the end spot, Tarburton stayed out there the entire time. So if he can play at a high level and be an anchor at one of the 2 end spots, that's going to upgrade everything they're able to do all along the front 4. So, so Keaton Ellis, local kid, big log jam at corner right now. There's a lot of talent. There were a few, I want to qualify, a few safeties who didn't play. Jair Brown did not play, who looks like he's got the inside track to start. Tyler Rudolph, the young guy, did not play. Joey Porter did not play. So was it merely a case of guys being shuffled around because of the depth chart available to them on Friday night or not? I don't know. But Keaton Ellis took a lot of snaps back at safety. So maybe one of the cases where they're trying to use the collection of talent they've got most effectively. Maybe Keaton moves back to a safety spot and plays a little bit of both this year.
Yeah, I think, how the personnel is utilized to me is going to be one of the fascinating early season stories for Penn State because they've been pretty consistent in and I don't think this is going to change in terms of funneling guys in and out on that defensive line. They like, and most top teams do, trying to keep those guys fresh and high energy level to try to get after the quarterback and disrupt things with the opposing team's offensive line. But across the board, as we've talked about, I think there's the one thing that James Franklin has pretty consistently done here since coming to Penn State is improving that depth. And again, you're getting more and more guys competing for more and more positions where, there's not much of, if any, drop-off between those first couple of guys. And I'm just curious, cornerback is one of those spots where confidence and that feel is such a big part of it. But with the way teams are playing now, right, it's also a position where you can be run ragged if you're out there all game, and especially if you're covering a good receiver. And I'm just curious to see how kind of that rotation, if there is a rotation, it evolves, or again, how they use the personnel with run pass situations, or just down and distance, a wide variety of things. I'm just curious. I've no idea how it's going to play out right now, but it does sound, and again, I'm not expecting anybody to come out and say, yeah, no, we're just not getting what these new coaches are saying. It's not looking good. No program is going to say that with new coaches, but it does sound like there is a much greater comfort level. And listen, to a larger degree, understandably, they're actually able to get out there and have close to normal practices right now, as opposed to a year ago where you're trying to implement a system largely online. But it feels like everybody is at this stage much more comfortable with this offense and with what they're trying to accomplish, and all kind of on the same page than what I think they were at a year ago. And again, to a large degree, completely understandable. But I do think it bodes well, because you also have a largely veteran team coming back. And I think if they're comfortable and understanding, and veteran, I guess, is relative, but I mean, guys that have gone through at least last season in the abbreviated version of it, and have an understanding now of what to expect.
Parker Washington was the number 2 receiver on the team last year. The first time Sean Clifford threw a pass to him was 2 weeks before the season kicked off. Right. And remember, that was already after they had a false start to their practice sessions, and then they had sent everybody home, and then everybody comes back again. Clifford said it in one of his press conference availabilities. The corrections they were making to mistakes they saw on tape with the new offensive installation in week 2 of practice, they were doing those same things after the Indiana game last year. So, it's going to make a huge difference. There is no question about it.
And again, just having the experience of last year, even over the summer here, the progress that you would expect these guys to make and to continue to gain confidence and comfort with what they're trying to do with this system. I think all positive if you're looking for big things to come here in 2021. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge the loss of a pretty legendary figure who may be largely anonymous to many of you, but Don Burris passed away this week or over the weekend. And if you're not familiar with the name, and local wrestling fans are certainly very familiar, but Don was a longtime assistant at Bald Eagle Area High School with Dick Rhodes, and was part of the coaching staff that led that program to be named the National High School Championship team. And I'm forgetting the exact year, but in the late 90s. And Don was just a remarkable individual, was on the board of the Center County Sports Hall of Fame. His daughter and my sister were best friends, so I got to know the Burrises very well from a very young age. As tough an individual as you'd ever meet, but also as kind and generous of an individual as you would ever meet. He was the treasurer for the Penn State Wrestling Club for probably close to a decade now, and he and his wife Bonnie have just been huge parts of the community at large, but certainly the sports community, and in particular the wrestling community. Don also coached, I think, cross country. Well, I know cross country, and I think it was track and field, or helped out with programs other than wrestling, but was assistant wrestling coach, I think, for over 25 years at Bald Eagle Area. And again, just leaves a tremendous legacy. I don't know anybody who met Don Burris who didn't consider him a friend upon meeting him, and it is a large void that is left in the sports community and just the community at large. He was very active in Grace Lutheran Church, and again, just a tremendous individual, dear friend of my family's, and I just wish all of the Burrises, Jennifer and Jeremy are his kids, and Bonnie, his wife, the very best moving forward. But it's a void that simply is impossible to fill, and he will long be remembered by the wrestling community and again the community at large for all of the different contributions he made. I've never met a finer individual and a more trustworthy person in my life, and Don Burris, you will be forever missed. With that, we are going to wrap up our show today. Goon will be back on Thursday, as will Booch. The three of us will kick around the NFL draft, which, of course, gets underway
I'm excited.
on Thursday. The beloved Steelers will kick it around. I think there's about 8 different directions that they could go.
Yeah,
and I'd probably, depending on who the
interesting.
pick is, I'd probably be okay with any of those directions. I would love personally to see Justin Fields end up with the Steelers. I don't know what the likelihood of that is. But
I think that is an interesting
subplot.
subplot.
Yeah,
that possibility of the Steelers getting into the mix there for sure.
And we've been kicking around. If they don't get Fields or a quarterback that you project as the successor to Big Ben this year, what are the options? Do you start looking at possible trades? Do you feel confident that you can get somebody out of next year's draft that can fill that spot? Because I think
Fitzmagic, baby.
It's got to happen. Yeah, it's got to happen.
40's the new 30, Ironhead.
Later. And so I am hoping for Justin Fields myself on Thursday. But we'll kick around the NFL draft on Thursday. Until then, be good and be safe.
Fire Howie.